What is up, awesome and amazing English students? If you're watching this video, you are ready to make your novel into a physical book. And so for the sake of this video, there are a couple things to get started. The first one is you have the directions that look like this. At the top, it says formatting your book for the Espresso book machine. This is very specific for the Rust Library in Leesburg, Virginia. You should also have on your screen, you should open up a blank Microsoft Word document. So for the sake, I haven't renamed mine yet, but this says document 1, which is fine right now. So after we get the words in, then you'll save it. Make sure you save frequently, all that good stuff like that. The third thing you should have open is you should have your actual book that you've written in a Google Doc. And so for the sake of this video, our friend Nithya will be our example. And so congratulations, Nithya, you already have this done. And so, so the first part of this video will be all about how we format the pages inside the book. The second part of this video will be all about how to do the book cover, the back, and then the spine. And so what we'll do is let's go through these directions together, be able to help you out here. So let's find my directions. So what we're going to do is we're going to start right here where it says set your page size. So if you're there, give yourself a thumbs up because that means that you're still hanging in there. So, but if at any point you are stuck, lost, or confused, you can always press pause on the video and rewind. You can ask a friend for help. You can Google directions, but if you're sitting in English class, you can always raise your hand and a teacher in the room be more than happy to help you out. So our very first step is we need to set the page size here. And so we're going to work in Microsoft Word about how to do this. And so it says the page size of your document must match the final desired cut of your book. Ta-da! One of the most common sizes is 6 inches by 9 inches. So let's go ahead and set our page size to 6 inches by 9 inches. So we're going to open up Microsoft Word. We're going to go to Design. Just kidding. We're going to go to Layout. And then here's Size. So we're going to choose our paper size. And we're going to kind of figure out at the bottom here, it's not on my screen, but it'll be on yours, more paper sizes. What will happen is you're going to type in the width as 6 inches and then the height as 9 inches. And then you're going to press OK. What's happened here is Word now will automatically format the book to be 6 inches across and then 9 inches down. So congratulations, you've already set your paper size. Now let's actually get the words onto the paper. So go ahead and go over to your Google Doc. What you're going to do is you're going to click anywhere in the Google Doc and let's find the Select All button. So go to Edit and then Select All. It's going to highlight every single word in this Google Doc. And then you're going to go to Edit and Copy, or you can press Control C. I always like the keyboard shortcuts. It makes it faster. But press Control C. You can see I'm reconnecting. My internet just died on me. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my Word doc. You can either right-click and paste, or you can press Control V. For the sake of what I'm doing, I'm going to press Control V, and it's going to spin and spin, and it's going to give me all the different, every page that I've done. And so the original Google Doc was 81 pages or 82 pages. Now this Word doc is 126 pages long. And so let's go scroll all the way back up to the beginning. And so you can see here's prologue, so we know that we're in some good shape here. Our next step is we're going to talk about the title page. So underneath Book Basics, it says all books should begin with a title page. This page contains the book title and author. It can also list the subtitle and publisher if relevant. The next page in your PDF should be your copyright page, so that the title page and the copy page will print front to back on the same sheet. So let's go ahead and take care of that paragraph right now. So let's go back to Microsoft Word. We need to go ahead and insert some pages here. And so we can go ahead and insert blank page number 1. and then blank page number 2. So remember, we're going to need 2 pages for this. So we're going to go to the first page and we're going to type in our title. So this will be The Awesome Book from Nithya. And then do the author by Nithya. Lovely. So we have that page done. And so we can go ahead and I'm pressing enter a bunch of times. See where that gets me. Doink, 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 doink. Okay. Page number 2 is going to be copyright. So it'll be like copyright 2017. So we can do something like that. So there's our first 2 pages here. And if you notice, we have a blank page here. So we're gonna have to kind of highlight the first word right there and kind of hit backspace a couple times to kind of get your pages back right. So we have your title page and then your copyright page. So now for the next part of this book, some people like to have a blank sheet of paper at the beginning of their book, right before the title page. But what we'll do is we're actually going to create kind of like a dedication page. So you want to dedicate this book to somebody. So right after our title page, so let's go back to our Word doc. So right after copyright, we're going to hit blank, insert blank page again, and be like dedicated to the best English teacher ever. So you can write a little dedicated to page for that, but we want to make sure that our book actually starts out on a fresh page. So we're going to insert a blank page to make sure we have that. So the dedication is going to be on a page on the front after our title page. The back will be blank. And then we'll start our book. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the formatting tips. So the first one says that the standard font size is between 10-point and 12-point type. So we're going to go back to our Word document. We're going to press Control A, which highlights everything in this document. Let's go to, if you're not on Home yet, go to Home. And then there's 2 boxes here. So in this smaller box that says font size, we're going to set it to 12-point font. And you notice that your book has shrunk drastically. We're going to go back to the directions. It says some font suggestions are these following fonts. So we want to use one of these 4 fonts. You're not picking a different font from these 4. For the sake of this video, I'm going to pick Century since it is the last one listed. Make sure everything's highlighted. And in the bigger box that says font, I'm going to go ahead and pick the Century font. And you can see you've done this right because the font has changed to Century. All right, so our next direction is we're going to add line spacing. So the suggestion is either 1.15 or 1.25. So let's go back to Microsoft Word. We have everything highlighted. Let's right click and click Paragraph. It's going to open up this dialog box here. So we're looking for the spacing section. So we're going to click on line spacing to be multiple. And we don't want multiple of 3. We want multiple of 1.25. And when we press OK, we notice that our line spacing has changed. And then it says use the page break tool whenever possible, and especially for blank or title pages at the beginning and end of a chapter, story, or poem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of scroll through here. So you notice that some of my things have changed. So see how copyright turned onto the same page? What we're going to do is we're going to put our cursor right before the C in copyright, click on Insert, Page Break. What it's going to do is it now moved it back to the second page. So I kind of can scroll down. My dedication page works. I have a blank page. And then we're at the prologue. And what you're going to do is you have to scroll through your document and make sure that the layout looks right. So you can kind of see here, here's chapter 1. So maybe what I can do is I can backspace and move this one up. So it's going to take some work to kind of, So you can see how it went down to the page before. I'm going to hit the page break button, make sure it's on a page, its own page, and you can see it kind of didn't work right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of come up here and I'm going to start hitting the delete button to move it back up. So it's going to take a little bit of time, effort, and energy to be able to work this out. But you see how I keep kind of scrolling through. I'm going to try to find another chapter here. So I'm just going to keep on scrolling. There's a lot of pages. I'm only at page 7 or page 8. I found chapter 2. So I'm going to put my cursor right before the C in chapter 2 and hit page break. Lovely awesomeness. So you're going to have to go through this for all the different chapters that you have in your book. So after we've went through the page break tool, we need to figure out if we need to use mirror margins. And so if your book is over 80 pages long, so let's go ahead and take a look at the book that we're working with. So this book currently is 172 pages long. So we definitely need to use mirror margins. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Layout, Margins, and then we're going to use Mirrored. And so you can kind of see here, it gives us some dimensions. We want to go ahead and click that. And voila, it is fixed our margins for mirrored margins. Now last, let's talk about the table of contents. And so this part is optional for you, but it's kind of cool if you name all your chapters out and you want to have a really cool table of contents. And so let's go back to our Microsoft Word document here. We want to go ahead and before we actually put the table of contents in, let's go ahead and add some page numbering here. And so we're going to click down at the bottom of our first page. So we're going to insert a footer. So if I double click at the bottom, it opens up the footer area. And we can go ahead and go to page number. Let's add it to the bottom of the page. And let's go ahead and pick plain number 2. And you notice that it inserts the numbers automatically, but it's actually in the wrong font. So we can actually press Control A to highlight all of our page numbers, and we can pick century, and it will change all of our page numbers to the century type print. So that gives us page numbers. The next step, so if we got kind of double click out, it will get rid of that little like footer area there. And so right next to your dedicated page, we're going to insert a table of contents. The way we do that is we're going to see where the light bulb is, tell me what you want to do. I never remember where table of contents is, but I can type in there table of contents and it pulls it up for me automatically. So even if you forget how to do things, you can go there and type it in and most likely it'll pull it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick automatic table. Let's do automatic table number 2. Creating a table of contents, start by applying a heading style from the styles gallery selected. That's a great idea. And so what we're going to do is let's go ahead and find where our first part starts. So Nithya has a prologue. What I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the word prologue. I'm going to come up here to, this is where the styles are. I'm going to select heading 1. You notice it changed the font. So anytime you do this, you have to change your font back to century. And if I scroll back up to the table of contents here, it still says no table of contents created entry found. If you click it, it gives you some features. And so right here it says update table. If I click update table, ta-da, puts the prologue in for me. And right here you see table contents, like that wordage isn't the right font. So I can highlight that and change that font to century. So anytime you're working in table contents, you're probably going to go back and forth between changing it and then you got to like change the font. So you can actually press Control A to highlight everything, just in case, pick century for everything. It changes the number right next to it also. But what we'll do is we'll kind of scroll through this document. So I'm going to find the next chapter here. Here's chapter 1. So let's highlight chapter 1. Let's make that heading 1. I'm going to change that back to century. I'm going to scroll back up to my table of contents. You don't have to do this every time, but I'm just showing it to you for the sake of this video. Select the table of contents. It says update table, and this time it gives you this box right now. We want to update the entire table, and it'll put chapter 1 in, and then it'll do page 8 there. So I'm going to highlight everything, and I'm going to change it back to century. I'm forcing it back to that century font there. And so some things I noticed as I scroll through my document, I noticed my page number is kind of close to the text. So if I double click on my footer, you could actually insert a space there. So it kind of gives it a little bit more space between the actual text and the number. So all I did was I put my cursor right before the number 6, press enter, and then you can hit close header and footer. And then what we'll do is we'll go back up, because we made some edits here, table contents, update table, and this time we're going to update the page numbers. So nothing has changed with my page numbers when I did that. But as you go along, just remember these steps as if you want to create out your table of contents. So we are almost done with our Word doc for our content. So you can see here that if I was done, I would have a bunch of chapters here. Everything would look good. So a couple of little final things that I would do personally is that I would change my font size for my title. And you kind of have to play around with it again. Oops, it changed my copyright. So I press delete a couple times to fix that. So you have to make sure that's good. And you notice up here it says document 1 still. That means I haven't saved it yet. So I'm doing something that's very, very bad, and I have not saved. So I'm going to press the save button, and I'm going to find a place. I have no internet connection currently, so I'm going to go ahead and save this to the computer. I'm going to save it to my desktop. Awesome book from Nithya. What you're going to do is you can save it in your My Documents. You can save it anywhere. Just save it and save it often. So right now it's saved to this PC. It'll be saved to your documents, which is kind of cool because you can access that through LCPS Go. And what we need to do is we need to export this as a PDF document. So you're going to go to File. You're going to go to Save As. You might say, what? There's a button right there. Just trust me. We're not going to use that one. So we have Awesome Book from Nithya. Instead of Word doc, I'm going to pick PDF document right there, and then I'm going to hit save. And it'll spin and spin and spin because it's saving. It's doing all kinds of work. And what I will do then is in the next video, I will show you the PDF document that I generated. So now what I've done is I went and I found the PDF document, the Awesome Book from Nithya.pdf. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of scroll through and make sure that all my formatting stayed the same. So there's my page numbering, there's my copyright, and page number 2, dedicated to the best English teacher ever. And as I'm kind of scrolling through, there's my table of contents. You can see that this was the blank parts, and here's my prologue. And this document is, you can kind of see at the very top, 188 pages long. So this is definitely going to be a long book, but definitely worth the read. It's an awesome book from Nithya. Coming soon in print format.